swallowed up? Have you ever been swallowed up?
All right, now this whole situation with Jess Hilarious and T.S. Madison is getting a little heated. Well, it might be over now, but let's talk about it. So, T.S. Madison was speaking on Jess Hilarious yesterday and basically gave her a read about some of the issues regarding her comments about Charlamagne when it came to caving his face in. And she also talked about Jess Hilarious and Charlamagne, who were talking about the girl with that series, Who Did I Marry? And they said she got a big back and all that other stuff. Y'all might have heard about it, but here's what T.S. Madison had to say.
You also have masculine energy. You are a pretty girl. I have said this, even when I was on Tamara Hall's show, even when I don't occupy all those spaces, and I was like, I felt her plight. I have felt her plight. I have felt her plight. I understand that women feel like they're being policed by womanhood and being inclusive to trans women, and they don't want to do this and the other. You can check any interview. I ain't never came at your neck. And I came to you. To you. I ain't get on the internet doing X, Y, and Z. I came to you. Bitch, you know when we say caving in the face, or we're from two different areas, but we know that I wasn't threatening Charlamagne the God. For what? For what? They want to sit here and overlook the fact that you as a woman who just almost a year ago, if it not was a year ago, was calling for men to protect us. Men to protect us. And then you sitting right next to a nigga who was talking about a woman, bitch, and you jumped in on the bandwagon, helped dragging her.
Now, Madison was on one. She went on Jess Hilarious for about 45 minutes on YouTube. She was talking about Jess's exes, spilling tea, everything. We'll get into that in a second, but let's see what Jess had to say on the Breakfast Club this morning.
They were upset with the big back comments that Charlamagne made.
They were upset about the big back comments.
Nobody's really upset about the big back comments.
No, but she was more so upset that I didn't like the fact that she insinuated like an attack.
That she was going to...
Are we going to cave his face in? Yes. Let me know. Mm-hmm. Because if you or even I were to say that to her, it would be a crime. That's true. Know, on and offline. If the shoe fits, wear it. That's the saying. But you took the shoe, you stuffed your fat ass foot in it, and toes couldn't breathe. So in other words, you reached.
The gender thing even coming up. I thought this was about big back.
Listen, that's what I thought it was about that too. But she started talking about my exes. What that got to do with your back?
I'm confused how the big back conversation got into all of this.
Yeah, because she used this situation to say things that she been wanted to say to me. From the first time when she jumped out there online and she was made to look like a fool. How dare you say he hilarious? You got all this big nigga energy. You would know that better than I would know that because you live it every day.
Now, I would love to give y'all my can't we just all get along speech, but I don't think it's no point. I'm not going to sit here on YouTube today and end the feud between natural black women versus black transsexuals, all right? All I can do is point out a few things that I thought was right on both sides. Now, I don't know who to start with because this is such a decisive conversation. Do I start with the natural born woman or do I start with T.S. Madison, all right? Now, you know what, T.S. Madison? I rock with you. I followed you on YouTube, but I'm going to start with Jess and say I agree with some of her stuff first because I recently found out that Jess Hilarious got a fine-ass body, and she was hiding it on Instagram because she got a man and she worked for the Breakfast Club. You got to scroll down to see what that body really hitting for, okay? I'm just letting y'all know. So this is on behalf of that ass, all right? Shout out to Jess, her baby, and her relationship. Now, I agree with Jess Hilarious when she says T.S. Madison was doing a little too much talking about the exes, and we'll speak a little bit more on that when we get to T.S. Madison, but she didn't have to do that, even though I think T.S. Madison was going scorched earth on Jess, so she was like, you know what? If we gonna talk about it, let's talk about it. But She took a little bit of hair. You know how when people ain't got no hair, but you got that one girl who know how to braid, and she could take like an inch off of your scalp and braid that shit all the way to the back. You ain't gonna have no hang time, but she gonna turn it to a braid. That's what T.S. Madison did. She took an inch, she turned it to a mile. All right. Also, I agree with Jess when she said, obviously, she took this situation and got off a whole bunch of shit that she wanted to say about me from the last interaction, which was Jess Hilarious making that video talking about trans women versus natural women, all right? But that'll get us straight over to T.S. Madison and the stuff I agree about what she said. Number one, I do think that Jess Hilarious kind of ganging up on the big back girl or the girl who got the little Who Did I Marry special, it was wrong, but I think it was more wrong on Charlamagne the God. Did I notice that Jess kind of chimed in on it and she didn't? Because see, the difference is, I think if Angela Yee was there, she would have been like, hold on, Charlamagne, big back this. And she would have tried to make the comparison that I think a lot of people made, which was, it ain't just big back women who have been caught up with a man or been delusional in a relationship. It's women of all shapes and sizes, okay? I think every man will tell you, I have deceived women of every shape and size, race, or ethnicity, whatever. Ethnicity, my bad. we have tricked them all, okay? So I think Angela Yee would have said that. But Jess, it seems like she tries to be one of the boys sometimes. And I don't know, maybe that's why they hire her. Maybe they hired somebody who wouldn't kind of fight back on every subject, okay? But, I can agree, yeah, I guess Jess could have spoke up on behalf of that big back young lady, all right? Now, also, I don't think it's anything wrong with T.S. Madison feeling like that Jess Hilarious might be homophobic, because she talked about that during the 45-minute rant. And if Jess Hilarious feel like that, and if other members of the TS community feel like that, they have every right to, just based off of what Jess Hilarious has said in the past. And obviously Jess Hilarious don't care about, fixing that. She don't care what they think. I think a big part of that is when Jess Hilarious said what she said, a large community of black women started supporting her. And I started to see, after that situation with that video Jess made, I started to see people say, I stand with Jess. That's when that started. Jess is not stupid. She sees that. And I think that's why she's kind of doubling down on that opinion. If it would have looked like that was costing her money, if it would have looked like she was getting canceled for what she said, I think she would have took back some of those statements. But she's actually grown since she said that. And I think that's why she has no inclination in trying to end a beef with T.S. Madison, because then it would be her kind of backtracking on that little video that she made and that new audience that she's appealing to. That's just my opinion. But if they feel like she homophobic, who am I to say it's wrong? Now, also, she made a good point talking about T.S. Madison when she talked about the slang that gay people use that we have appropriated. More specifically, black people in the LGBTQ community. And so she was talking about that when she said caving in Charlamagne's face, that was just slang that we didn't understand. And she made the comparison to when we started saying fish. We didn't know what fish meant, but they had to tell us what fish meant. They had to tell us what the T was. A lot of the slang that they came up with, and I'm talking about African-American gay people, we have appropriated it. I'm seeing football players. Who was that nigga the other day talking about Taylor Swift and Kanye West at the Super Bowl. That nigga on the video saying hot tea, hot tea, hot tea. I might put the clip in when he said that. Hot tea, hot tea. Grown ass men saying hot tea now. I say it. So when she says, hey, y'all just didn't get my slang and y'all use our slang all the time and y'all really don't know what the fuck y'all talking about, I'm inclined to believe her, all right? But let's just pause the whole beef between Jess and Madison for a second, because I think this will be the last time we hear about this situation for a while. I saw T.S. Madison post, oh, I heard her response, back to regular programming. So I think it's kind of over. We spoke on it. But I want to talk about what Jess has been doing since she got on the Breakfast Club, because I took some notes and I said she been getting into a lot of beefs, right? Now, I remember a while ago, this was before she got on the Breakfast Club, so I'm not going to mention it. I'm going to mention it, but I want to note it was before the Breakfast Club. I think she was kind of just co-hosting back then, but she got into a little issue with Winnie Harlow before she got the job. I think she was kind of co-hosting at this time, but she got into an issue with Winnie Harlow, which I don't think was that big for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't rock with Winnie Harlow like that anyway. I'm not saying people don't like her. I'm just saying she's not a big celebrity that people will talk about, right? But then after that, Jess gets the job. It's official. Sexy Red comes on. And who she got a beef with? HE-LARIOUS. Now we got this T.S. Madison thing kicking back up. Another beef with HE-LARIOUS. Then we got the Mandy girl, the girl who's on that podcast. I forgot the name of the podcast, but she beefing with Mandy. Then last week, she was talking about Nicki Minaj and how she needed some ticket sales, and that's why she want Cat Williams to be on her tour. Now she got a beef with the Barbs. So now she in about 4 or 5 beefs since she started working at the Breakfast Club. And I heard somebody say this, I think last week, and they said, well, when you grow like a Charlamagne the God and a DJ Envy, but I more specifically mean Charlamagne the God, because Charlamagne the God was the guy who kept shit going, right? But when you grow like a Charlamagne the God, he's a businessman, a writer, he got podcasts, all this other stuff. Now it's his time to step back. Y'all realize Charlamagne is not so controversial anymore. He's not the nigga who's starting up the bullshit no more, right? And now it seemed like that's Jess's job. They done got Jess in there, and now she's kicking up all of the dust and all of the beefs. And I think she's supposed to be the new female version of Charlamagne. Do y'all agree? Let me know. But I think the situation with T.S. Madison, it is what it is. Like I said, ain't shit I'm gonna cure this beef with black women and trans women. But I will say, we all black at the end of the day, and we should figure out ways to stand with each other. All right. That's my little piece. Let me know what y'all think about this. Like the video and subscribe. I will see y'all next time. Peace.